Netflix and Hulu have come out with some brand new reality competition shows this month, and I felt like making a video on both after watching them. I think this would be a good way of combining both shows into one video as we focus more on reality TV not just being on cable or major networks, but exclusive to different streaming services. We saw something like The GOAT on Prime Video, and of course, Netflix has such a wide variety of competition and dating shows that go beyond even just America. So what are these new shows? On Netflix we have Million Dollar Secret, and on Hulu we have Got to Get Out. The premises for both of these shows are pretty interesting, and personally, without knowing the premise ahead of time, I don't think I would have been so quick to dive into Million Dollar Secret. On the other hand, I was ready to get into Got to Get Out since I've known about its cast for a while, and I was excited to see some people I've watched before. The times where I've talked about Deal or No Deal Island on this channel have been highlighted by me saying how much I love the dynamic of a mixed up cast of newbies and reality TV veterans. Got to Get Out has a much more even split compared to Dondi, but it's still something I appreciate a lot as us viewers not only get to experience those we watched before, but also get to see some new people carving out their reality TV careers. Although of course, just because you get on one show doesn't mean you'll be as iconic as someone like Omarosa. But the premise of Got to Get Out is that there is $1 million at stake that will be shared across the entire cast at the end, but there are plenty of times throughout their stay where they can try to escape the mansion and take a much larger portion of the money. But it's extremely difficult to escape because others are always going to be keeping watch and can pull a lever and push a button to close the big gates, therefore defying those escapees of actually escaping. It's low-key kind of brilliant, and I found the concept to be pretty fascinating, but as I said before, the cast was the main reason I checked the show out. With people like Omarosa, Spencer Pratt, Joe from Outkast, and Cynthia Bailey, all of whom I've watched a little bit of, I was interested. And there's some others like Gino or Steven from Big Brother Canada, although I think I quit his season after only like a couple weeks, and Kim from Real Housewives that I've heard a lot about. They do outline who the reality TV veterans and newbies are on this show, but for some reason they chose to omit the fact that Jill was on Netflix's Outlast, Rob was on Netflix's Squid Game The Challenge, and Gino, or Steven as he's called here, was on Big Brother Canada. Maybe it's because this show is exclusively on Hulu, but it did feel a little weird to me. This was a fun jumbled up cast though, and yet I still feel like there was so much more that could have been there in these episodes. There's only 8 episodes and Hulu just dropped them all on the same day, but I'm pretty proud of myself for finishing it all in just 2 days. But back on topic, these 8 episodes are all like normal length for TV, like 43 minutes, so it does almost feel like this was intended for actual television instead of streaming, because they probably could have kept a lot more in and stretched out the episodes, but I don't know. Omarosa even said in an interview that there were daily challenges that got entirely cut out of the episodes. Although, I do think this was a good decision as I don't see how these challenges would have been really necessary to anything that they were doing on the show. Speaking of cutting things out though, the one thing I absolutely hated when watching this was Simu Liu's narration. So Simu Liu is, I guess, sort of the host for the show, but he's never like actually there in person. He's never with the cast or interacts with them in any way. He just narrates over whatever happens in the episodes and explains all the rules, but this is my major gripe with his inclusion. He's completely unnecessary to the whole show, and it just feels like a way for Hulu to get some more attention on the show by having some celebrity act as the host. When I'm watching these different scenes between people and he narrates right after it with some sarcasm or a joke, I just can't stand any of it. He only needed to be in there to explain the rules, and I mean, they could have just gotten anybody off the street to do that because of how easy it is to just read a script with rules on it. But that's really my only big issue with this show beyond just cutting out maybe some little extra stuff that could have been in there. But this was a fun show though, I can't lie. I love how the confessionals are since they're just in random places around the mansion, and it's not just some studio space with a green screen. And I was introduced to a lot of fun people I didn't really know before, like Kim, Susan, Yane, and Stein. And speaking of Stein, let me go on to the major point of this show. Did anybody actually escape from the mansion and take home some bigger money? There were many failed attempts, but yes, there was a successful escape. And there was literally only one for the whole season. Stein and Cynthia were able to hatch a plan together that worked as Stein sprinted like Usain Bolt down the driveway and past the gates. He ended up splitting the $312,000 with Cynthia as she was the one with the plan that approached him, so they each went home with $156,000, which is pretty damn good. And despite all the other attempts everyone else made, no matter how creative they were, they just couldn't replicate Stein and Cynthia's success. So in the end, the rest of the cast was able to evenly split around $42,000 with each other. So all in all, I would say this was a fun show. It almost feels like a kind of tame attempt at recreating House of Villains humor, but of course it does a much better job of that than The GOAT, and I think a part of that did make this seem a lot more fun. I would recommend this show as it's just a chill, fun watch. Don't let the haters tell you that this is not good. Now, moving on to the other show in this video, Million Dollar Secret. This premise really grabbed me, especially since some of my friends were actually into this show, and I know from our shared experiences that Netflix's reality competition shows are not that great. But I was hearing good things about this show. Million Dollar Secret is almost like The Traders, where one person has the $1,000,000, but the $1,000,000 can always change hands throughout the game, and it's the job of the contestants to find out and then vote out the millionaire. Although it is funny because by like the halfway point, some of the contestants realize that it's kind of useless to always vote out the millionaire because the $1,000,000 can just be moved to a different person anyways. So this was an all new cast of reality TV participants, and to me, this cast felt very Big Brother coded. I'm not sure if there was some overlap with the casting departments or what, but that's just kind of what it felt like. But that's a compliment. The show was hosted by Peter Serafinowicz, who I felt like looked really familiar, and I'm not gonna lie, at first I thought it was Daniel Craig, but I think that's just being an idiot. But yeah, I just didn't really know him from anything. Someone else who really looks familiar on this cast is Chris. And I've been trying so hard to figure out who he is that he looks like, and it's been driving me absolutely insane. Like, at first I thought he maybe looked a little like Jordi Alba, and then I thought he looked pretty close to Jared Piqué, but I feel like there's someone much closer that he looks exactly alike. So, if you might know who this is, please comment down below and just end me of this misery. Unlike Hulu, Netflix did that thing with its scheduling that really pisses me off, where they just upload their series in these different blocks, instead of doing it all at once or doing it once a week. I really just don't get this, but I don't know, it's just a small thing I hate. But unlike Netflix's other reality shows where things feel, I don't know, too cringe or too professional and polished, this felt a lot more charming in how the cast dynamics were, along with the actual challenges that took place in the show. The challenges were really unique and fun, maybe because a lot of the show's budget went into the villa they're staying at, or as Peter says, the stag. It reminds me that challenges don't have to be super complex or repetitive and boring, but they can just be simple and fun. Also, something else I quite liked about this compared to Netflix's other shows is the lack of cliffhangers. There's only 8 episodes in this show, same as Got to Get Out, and I think there were only like 2 cliffhangers the entire time, which was a real relief. The episodes were all 50 to 60 minutes, so there was a lot more content in these episodes, and I'm glad that along with the longer episodes, we got minimal cliffhangers because when they always happen on streaming reality shows, it just gets super annoying really quickly. But really quick, back to the challenges. The point of them is if you win, you get a chance to get into the trophy room and get some intel from Peter on who the millionaire may be. You see, the millionaire who gets picked at random will have a secret agenda to complete, which will always be something weird like getting someone else to scream or making other people say Justin Timberlake without mentioning any of his songs. Usually, people can kind of pick up on something a little unusual, and there were times when Peter would give a hint that kind of made it become extremely obvious who the millionaire was. And then they'd all have a chance to vote out the millionaire, and if they were successful, the $1,000,000 would transfer to someone brand new. The first millionaire was Lauren, and man, she was done so dirty. She was eliminated way too soon because she was such a star, and she's still proven to be a star as she was on Parvati from Survivor's podcast, and if you know reality TV, you know Parvati Shallow. I'm sure Lauren will get on more shows in the future though. Sam was the other one that I was a major fan of. Sydney was also cool, and I mean, the rest of the cast had some moments of being good, but for the most part, I didn't feel like I completely clicked with a lot of the cast, and for me, Lauren, Sam, and maybe Sydney too, easily stood above the rest. But I don't think anyone here was really that awful or annoying or anything like that. So overall, I would say that Million Dollar Secret is a good show, especially by Netflix's standards, and it's a really good premise. It's a fun show to watch, and at the end of the day, that's all that should matter. So, there are the two new reality shows brought to you by Netflix and Hulu. Overall, I do think positively of both of these shows, although of course, I do have my critiques on both of them. I'd recommend checking out both of these shows. If you have watched either of these shows, let me know what your thoughts on them were. Also, let me know down below what else you'd like to see me talk about on this channel. Like the video, subscribe for more videos, and yeah, thank you for watching.